Hello and welcome to a special midweek episode. I think we'll call it COVID in sports. Let's go with that. Because there's a ton of Canadians affected by this as well. And I think like COVID itself, I mean, it might not be specifically about Canada and Canadian athletes, but like we got to talk about this regardless. This is a big deal affecting a lot going on right now. So we'll start, you know what, let's just start with the NHL. So there's a list provided by sportsnet.ca of all the people in COVID protocol. There are 112 players/coaches in the NHL protocol, COVID-19 protocol. The team that's hit by far the most right now, it's Calgary, because they have 22 players/assistant coaches/head coach, like 22 of 25 on their main roster are in COVID protocol. And also an extra 10 additional staff members of theirs are in COVID protocol right now. Like it's insane. Every single one of the people that are in the COVID protocol by them. They're not playing again until what the league is saying, December 26th. But even then, I guess most of their lineup would be available to play at that point because it's a 10-day quarantine after you get COVID if it's still the same as it was before, it's a 10-day quarantine.
They would have most of their team
They have most of their team back, but with no practice in anything, that'd be nuts. And there's some teams that are like barely affected. There's some teams with just one or two players in it. Like the Islanders only have Matt Barzal, but like Matt Barzal, that's their best player. He's in the COVID protocol. St. Louis Blues only have Oscar Sundqvist. And there's some teams that are completely untouched by it. Like Vegas isn't in this list at all. Like Anaheim, like there's a bunch of teams that are not being touched by COVID right now, thankfully, which is unbelievably lucky for them if we're going to be completely honest here. And news released early Sunday was that NHL has suspended every cross-border game until after the Christmas break. I mean, you and I were literally just saying, I don't think that's enough. That's not enough.
That's not enough.
No, especially with some like Calgary's shut down essentially. Like Edmonton, I guess they're getting an early Christmas, like they're done, which will be nice for them. And then Toronto, I don't know Toronto's schedule too well. Regardless, like no cross border, it affects Canada more than it would the States because there's more American teams, and some divisions in the States are only American teams, right? So, some of the divisions are only American teams. It affects Winnipeg probably the most because like their whole division is all American. But it's nuts what COVID is doing. And so not only are all these players in these protocols, like there's some stands that are, I believe Toronto and Ottawa cut fans by 50%. Like it's only 50% capacity right now. 50%. Montreal cut it down a little bit too because if I'm not mistaken, Quebec is seeing some of its worst numbers since the beginning of the pandemic right now. And I think they're looking into cutting it down as well in Quebec. And I mean, Alberta doesn't do anything about COVID because they don't believe in it over here, apparently.
And I think Manitoba as well is just going like all hands on deck kind of thing, like just like normal. Yeah. So I guess they're not really doing much.
I can see things changing pretty soon here. I mean, especially with the whole no cross-border games are allowed until after Christmas. I don't see. This is going to be tough because a lot of these people in the COVID protocol, their 10th day will be on the 26th. A lot of people went into COVID protocol on the 16th over the weekend. 15, 16, 17. A ton of players at that point went. Like, I'm thinking, like, I'm looking at Nashville. Half their team went on protocol on the 15th. Genuinely. Calgary was there. They were lucky. They got into the protocol early. 13th, 14th, 15th. And between the 13th, 14th, and 15th, 22 of their players/staff got into the protocol. So it's nuts. And it's like, I guess we'll look into, like, there's just so much you can say about COVID, which is really what I'm having a tough time speaking about it right now because like there's just so many different effects. Like the NHL is the league that has shown off the most vaccination numbers, and they're like so proud of their vaccine status, and they've been like showing it off, all that kind of stuff. And then there's some players who are like, oh, I'm asymptomatic and I have COVID. Like, why can't I continue to play? Like, why can't this and this? And, like, just, I don't think they don't fully understand. Let's be honest here. Everybody's tired of the pandemic. Everybody's tired of COVID right now. And the players are no exception. Like, Robin Leonard is one of the most vocal people on with respect to the COVID-19 protocols that are in place right now. He doesn't like them because he says it's not good for his mental health. Right? He just wants to be out doing stuff with people. Anyways. But, so, like, what's going on right now with COVID in the NHL is essentially it's going to cause, in my opinion, it's going to cause a complete shutdown of the league for, like, a week or two. It should. It should. But the NHL has no brain cells. Between every single one of their executives, there's, like, a single brain cell. So I don't see it happening. But, like, the NHL is getting affected hard by it, man. And, like, even the NFL, like, 4 games got rescheduled this week to later on. There's 2 Monday games and there's 2 Tuesday games.
Yep.
Like, and I think it's the Monday game with the Browns. The Browns have 20 players in the COVID-19, or 20 players and a head coach are in their COVID-19 protocol. Do you remember last year when the entire quarterback room of the Broncos was in COVID-19 protocol?
Yes,
and they had like a former high school / college quarterback play for them?
Yep, I remember that.
So, like, the Browns are going to be the same situation. They have Chase Keenum and Baker Mayfield, their number 1 and 2 quarterbacks, on COVID-19 protocol, and they're not going to get out of it in time for their game on Tuesday. And I think the NFL has different rules on it though. Like, I think you can provide 2 negative tests within a 24-hour time period, and then you can get off of it. I think that's what the rule is technically.
I think I've heard about that.
Yeah. I guess we'll touch base on this now. COVID-19 has been directly the cause of early retirements this season. A lot of them. Like, we're talking about both Josh Archibald, who is an anti-mask, anti-vax Oiler, that he can't play anymore because of his myocarditis. Maybe that gets better. Hopefully with time it gets better. But he is not available this season at all because of his myocarditis. He could die if he plays. Genuinely. Yep. And then Stalock, unavailable because of myocarditis. We're going to go over to soccer. Sergio Aguero had to retire because of his myocarditis and the after effects of COVID. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if it's like directly caused by COVID. I don't know the science behind, and like they have their scans and everything, but like they are being called, it's myocarditis is a well-known side effect of having COVID-19, of having had it. Bad lungs and a bad heart is what COVID does to you. Like, that is nuts to think to me right now. It's just like people's careers are coming to an end because of COVID-19 and the after effects of it. That's just crazy, man. That's just so crazy. And then these guys are like, oh, let us play. It's only COVID. It doesn't do anything. Come on, man. Like, it's just so frustrating for me. So, the NHL has 112 total people, and that's like head coaches and players in the COVID-19 protocol. Okay, if you think about it, it's 21 skaters, 4 coaches typically, so 25. So that's a lot, man. That's like 10 to 20% of the leagues in COVID-19 protocol right now. That's crazy. Maybe a little bit less.
A little bit less, but yeah, roughly.
Probably 10 though. Hold on, let's do the math here. Let's be 25 times 32. Yeah, that's about 12.5% of the league is in COVID-19 protocol right now. Isn't that nuts? 1 out of 1/8. So yeah, 12.5% is in COVID-19 protocol right now. The NFL has 141 players / coaches in the COVID-19 protocol. And this is just head coach. They don't include assistant coach in the list from Sporting News. Like 141 head coaches / players in the COVID-19 protocol right now. That they either have COVID or I think it's actually only people who've tested positive for COVID that are in the protocols now. And then the NBA is much lower at 71, but they also have smaller roster sizes, so it kind of makes sense.
They have like
30 teams. I think it's like
players, I guess.
12 roughly. To 15, I want to say.
We'll say like
15 plus coaches, okay?
Yeah,
so around there. So 15 times 30, I don't know, man. I'm not good at math. I hate math. 450. There you go. That's 450. I did that all in my head.
Good job.
Really? Yeah, 450. Yeah, let's go.
Good job.
So 71 out of 450. Yeah, that's again about 10 to 15%. Yeah. It's
less probably.
15%.
15%.
Yeah. God, I'm so good at math. And I got better now that I can. The salary cap situation
from my
hockey team. Yeah, so I've learned. I've taken math class ever since. Clearly, yeah. But like, so 10, anywhere between 10 to 15% of the leagues are being affected. Of the league's players are being affected by COVID-19 at the current moment, and that's like, it is so difficult because you don't know the lasting effects of COVID-19 until probably it's too late. You know what I mean? Like Sergio Aguero was having like heart problems in a game and he went off, rushed to the hospital, and then they found out he had myocarditis. Right? This is all facts that we're stating right now. This is 100% fact. This isn't anything that we're assuming or anything. Like, we have no idea what it is. But like, it's nuts. It's not like when, you don't remember when Christian Eriksen had the heart attack and literally died on the pitch in the Euros? Yeah. Okay, there's some trolls out there that were saying, "Oh, it's the vaccine that killed him. That's what the vaccine did. He got a heart attack because he got the vaccine." We're not saying that garbage on this show. We're just stating facts. Myocarditis is a side effect and an after effect of COVID-19. So anytime somebody gets COVID, with the vaccine or not, you run the risks of potentially getting one of those side effects, right? Like, a lot of different people are not going to be affected by it pretty much at all. Really, it's going to be just a quick little flu and whatnot. And that's what most of the players are saying. That's their arguments, really, about why aren't you letting us go through this? Why can't we just play through it? This is garbage kind of thing. But at the end of the day, man, it's kind of scary how many players are in COVID-19 protocols. It's having a huge effect, a massive effect on the sporting world right now. Like, if you think about it, so last season, the NHL played within their divisions with no fans, right? I believe the NBA played with some fan capacity, but Toronto played out of, and the MLB too. Toronto played in the States because they weren't going to be able to go back and forth between Canada and the States. I don't think, and then the NHL has gotten back to that point. You're not allowed, you can't travel from from Canada to the States anymore. The NBA might follow suit, but that would unfortunately shut the Raptors down. But with a 50% capacity that the Raptors have now, I don't know what's going to happen with the Raptors. That makes it a lot tougher. The NFL, has said that they're just going to plow through this and just go with the flow. But of all the leagues who can afford a work stoppage right now, it's the NHL, because they have the Olympic break that they can just, instead of going to the Olympics, you just use it to make up all the games that you lost because of a work stoppage right now, or a play stoppage because of COVID. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, it's baffling to me how these leagues are still going right now, and they just don't let the 2-week period of COVID survival rate, I don't know, like, keep on going. Do you think they're not going to do bubbles again? Do you think, for the playoffs?
For the NHL?
For any league?
Oh, for any league? Like, you would hope they would do it just to, like, protect the players and protect everyone, but for, like, revenue wise, I don't think they will.
I don't think they would either. I think it's like the revenue is too much of a loss in that sense, but also the mental health of the players. The NHL has very much expressed the desire to never do that again. It was good for the safety of the players because they weren't going to get it because the bubble was just so safe. But yeah, I don't see it happening. I don't see it happening anymore. I'm hoping that it's ideally a 2-week stoppage of all play, completely everything, just completely stop for 2 weeks, and then resume as if nothing happened. And then those games, reschedule them during the Olympic break and just don't go to the Olympics. Players don't want to go there. COVID is affecting China pretty bad too. So the NHL can definitely do that because they worked in a 2-week or 3-week break for the Olympics in their schedule.
Yeah, they can. Just
NBA doesn't have that.
They
can
NFL
use
finishing this small break for now of like no cross border play to probably like make up a schedule, including a longer break for the players to, or for like the league to be able to play through through all this.
The NHL schedule makers are going to be are going to be working for their money right now for sure. That's pretty crazy, man. Like, I didn't actually realize how many people were in there. And, like, heading out over to Europe, like we talked earlier in the podcast episode in regards to COVID in Europe, like Bayern Munich isn't playing in front of any fans right now. Like, they're empty stadiums over Europe right now because of COVID. Like, they're still playing their games, but they're empty stadiums. However, there's not as many players in COVID protocols over in Europe for soccer. It's predominantly like just the countries themselves. They're in a little bit of shambles right now with COVID, and that's why the numbers are going down. Except I lied. Arsenal in England has a ton of people on COVID-19 protocol there. Arsenal, if I'm not mistaken, and Leeds, I think, has some too. But Arsenal for sure, I know that. It's coming back. It's yet another wave, and it is having a big effect in the world of sports right now. Hopefully, they do right by all of this, and they care more about players and fan safety than they do about money for now. But I don't see the NHL doing that. I don't see the NFL really doing that either. We'll see about the NBA. It'll be an interesting storyline because obviously there's nothing reported yet and nothing along those lines, but it'll be very interesting to see what the NBA does with the Raptors.
Yeah.
Like, do the Raptors have to play out of the States for the rest of the season just to stay within the same country? Because Canada's border restrictions are tightening up again. They're not suggesting anybody leave the country for big trips like that unless it's absolutely necessary. And with 2 Raptors in the COVID-19 protocol at the moment, it's going to be an interesting. This is going to be an ever developing next 2 weeks. This story with COVID, it's going to be and it's definitely leading into 2022. I definitely think that we're still going to see repercussions up until early 2022. So that's nuts, man. There's a lot of people in COVID-19 protocol in these professional sports in these professional leagues. And like the Brooklyn Nets all year, Kyrie Irving wasn't allowed to participate in any team activities because of his vaccination status. Mm-hmm. It's funny to me that the day after they say, yeah, he's back and welcome back, and he comes to practice, him and Durant go into quarantine, into COVID-19 protocol. My God. I think I'm not saying that it was Kyrie that did it by any means. There's no proof. But it's just very interesting and convenient.
Very convenient.
Yeah, that it was that it happened like that. So, I don't know, man. We'll see. This is there's nothing really we can do. So,
just gotta take care of yourself, take care of everybody, stay safe.
Yeah, and I hope that the what's it called? I hope the leagues take into account just players' safety and fan safety, really. Mm-hmm. But anyways, a little bit of I wouldn't say confrontational, but a little bit more of a difficult episode for us to put today. But thank you everybody for listening to COVID in sports, and we'll see you later on this week for the Vancouver Canucks Prospect Watch. Thank you everybody, and we'll see you later on this week.